Besides being mentor and mentee, Eminem and 50 Cent are like brothers for real. They've stood by each other through thick and thin. Award shows, beefs, you name it. And when it comes to beef, these two don't play nice. They're straight up savage when it comes to their enemies. They've clashed with everyone in the game, from legendary rivals like Ja Rule to old crew members like The Game. 50 and M, they live for the drama. Now let's talk about some of their wildest rap battles. In August 2023, Eminem teamed up with Easy Mill on a blazing track called Realist. Even though it was a major moment for Mill, Eminem completely stole the show with bars that went straight for the game's neck. He wasn't just rapping. He was making a statement, reminding the world that he's still that guy and daring anyone to challenge him. Eminem spit. All the envious rappers I torch if I'm on a joint with them. And that is the only retort is, I'm not played in the clubs. I put a cork in it. Only reason they still play your in the clubs is because you still perform it. He threw that directly at the game, who had claimed that M's music didn't get club spins anymore. This beef actually started way back with 50 Cent and Gunit. It kicked off when the game caught Dr. Dre's eye. Dre saw serious potential in him and figured the best move was to bring him into Gunit for a major push into the spotlight. But things didn't stay friendly for long. Gunit, the powerhouse rap crew run by 50 Cent, was supposed to be the game's golden ticket. The plan used the Gunit machine to push the game's debut album into the stratosphere. Some folks saw it as a genius move to boost his career. Others thought he was just riding 50's wave to blow up fast. No matter what people were saying, one thing was clear. Linking up with Gun put the game shoulder to shoulder with two rap giants, 50 Cent and Eminem. When his first album, The Documentary, finally dropped, it was a massive moment. Critics loved it, fans ate it up, and the game proved he had real skills. Bangers like How We Do and Hate It or Love It turned into instant anthems. His verses were sharp. His stories hit hard. He was putting on a show for real. But behind all that success, trouble was bubbling. Once The Documentary started topping charts, the vibe between the game and 50 started shifting. Their partnership looked strong on the surface, but cracks were starting to show. The drama kicked off during the music video shoot for Hate It or Love It. Word got out that 50 refused to sit next to the game in the car during the video. Fans went wild with rumors. Was this just ego or something deeper? Nobody knew the full story, but that awkward moment lit the fuse and things only got messier from there. Things spiraled fast. Even though the Hate It or Love It video got praised all over, the behind-the-scenes drama kept building. Then came the bombshell. During a radio interview, 50 Cent straight up said the game was out of Gunit. No warning, no filter, just kicked him to the curb live on air. It didn't end there. Right after that shocking interview, the game pulled up to the radio station and chaos broke out. A fight went down, and in the madness, shots were fired. It was wild. After the dust settled, both camps tried to cool things off and act like it wasn't that deep. He is fat. He looks like he got a pack of hot dogs in the back. In March 2005, they made a public truce. 50 and the game stood side by side, telling the world they were ready to squash the beef and move on. But that peace, it didn't last long. Once the game officially left Gunit, he got dragged by the crew. They started questioning if he was really built for this, saying he wasn't loyal and didn't have real street stripes. The game wasn't about to let that slide. He clapped back the only way he knew how, through bars. He dropped 300 bars in Running, a brutal diss track that lit the rap scene on fire. That one song kicked off a full-blown war of words between him and 50. Track after track, they went at each other with no mercy, and the whole rap world was watching. By 2006, though, the game started switching up the tone. He put it out there that he wanted to end the beef and make peace with 50, trying to fix what had been broken. But trust, that's a whole other story. But 50 Cent, he stayed ice cold, refused to say a word or even acknowledge the game's attempts at peace. The beef had hit a whole new level with more than 100 diss tracks flying back and forth. It was nonstop fire, keeping the feud alive for years. In 2010, the game tried again. This time on Twitter, publicly asking 50 to squash it and let the bad blood go, but once again, silence. 50 didn't budge, didn't reply, didn't blink. Still, the game didn't give up. He kept pushing for peace, trying to kill the drama for good. But instead of peace, he got more heat. 50 reignited things with fresh music that kept the tension burning. By 2012, the game took it a step further and launched a whole petition for a Gunit reunion, hoping to bring the old crew back together and patch things up. But Gunit wasn't having it. They shut it down quick. In 2014, the group made their reunion official at the Summer Jam concert, but the game wasn't anywhere in sight. That move said it all. They were done with it, and they weren't looking back. Then in 2022, 50 threw more shade, calling out the game for posing in a photo with Lloyd Banks, hinting that the move was fake love. But the game tried to cool it down, saying the past was the past, and he had no more beef with 50. But just as things seemed to calm down, the game stirred up a whole new storm. This time aiming at Eminem. He dropped a diss track called The Black Slim Shady, taking shots not just at M, but also at 50 Cent and Dr. Dre. The disrespect was loud and the drama just kept stacking up. The game didn't hold back, not even close. In The Black Slim Shady, he went straight for the jugular, throwing shots at Dr. Dre, Eminem, and even name-dropping Eminem's daughter. The lyrics were ruthless, tearing into M's personal life, career, and legacy. Clearly designed to stir the pot and force a response. The track set the internet on fire. Some fans cheered the game on, calling Thedisk bold and praising his bars for going after one of hip-hop's top dogs. But not everyone was impressed. Plenty of people called it a desperate move, saying he was chasing clout and trying to stay relevant by dragging M's name into it. The drop sparked a storm of debates across the hip-hop world. Lines were drawn, fans picked sides, and social media exploded with non-stop arguments. Some stood up for Eminem while others backed the game, hyping up his confidence for going toe-to-toe with a rap legend. But the real question buzzing in everyone's mind was why now? What made the game come for Eminem like that? What pushed him to go that hard? One major clue might be the Super Bowl 56 halftime show on February 13th, 2022. It was a massive moment for West Coast rap. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem rocked the stage at one of the biggest events of the year, but the game nowhere to be seen. Despite his history with Dr. Dre and his impact on the West Coast scene, he was left out. And that stung. His absence didn't go unnoticed, and insiders say it hit him hard. That snub may have been the final spark that pushed him to take aim at M and stir up the drama all over again. The game didn't hide how he felt. He went straight to social media to air it out. He reposted Instagram stories calling out the Super Bowl 56 halftime show for leaving him out, especially since it was supposed to be a tribute to LA hip-hop. He made it crystal clear as a major West Coast artist, he felt robbed of his spot on that stage with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. He later opened up about it on the I Am Athlete podcast. The game admitted the exclusion hurt him deeply. He believed it wasn't about talent, it was about image. He said people saw him as not safe, someone who might be too raw or unpredictable for a polished live TV moment. That stung even more. He felt like his realness, his street credibility was being used against him. In his eyes, his authenticity should have been celebrated, not shut out. He wasn't going to sugarcoat it either. He spoke on how the industry favored cleaner, safe performers while sidelining artists like him who kept it real. Then in March 2022, things got even spicier. The game pulled up on Drink Champs with NE and DJ EFN and dropped some bold takes. He said Kanye West had done way more for his career recently than Dr. Dre ever had. That line alone had people talking, but he didn't stop there. He straight up claimed he was better than Eminem and said he'd go bar for bar with him in a Veers battle. He wasn't holding back. He challenged the whole idea that Eminem was untouchable and he wanted a face-off to prove who really had the crown. The backlash from Drink Champs was loud, but the game didn't flinch. Right after the interview, he dropped an Instagram video and stood 10 toes down on what he said. He didn't walk it back. He doubled down, saying flat out that he still believed he was better than Slim Shady. The game said he knew not everyone would agree, and that was cool. But in his eyes, he had the upper hand lyrically. He even threw out the idea of a rap battle or a collab just to settle it once and for all. Whether this beef between him, Eminem, and 50 Cent ever dies down, that's still up in the air. But hold up, there's another layer to this mess. Nick Cannon. Back in the late 2000s, rumors started flying in the music world that Eminem had something going on with Mariah Carey. At first, Mariah tried to shut it down, denying anything happened. But he came with receipts, or at least he claimed he did. On his track, Bagpipes from Baghdad off the Relapse album, Eminem didn't just suggest a past with Mariah, he went off. And he didn't stop at her. He went right for her then husband Nick Cannon, too. In the track, M rapped Mariah, "Whatever happened to us? Why did we have to break up?" Then he came for Nick. Nick Cannon better back the bleep up. "I'm not playing. I want her back, you punk." He didn't stop there. He kept swinging with Nick. "You had your fun. I've come to kick you in your sack of junk." It was raw, and Nick Cannon wasn't about to let it slide. He clapped back with a threat to sue Eminem, posting a now-deleted Tumblr rant where he said, "I don't know why no one has stood up to you before cutting it off." The shots were personal, and the drama was just getting started. Nick Cannon wasn't playing games. In that same deleted Tumblr post, he clapped back with, "Guess it's going to take a corny whack rapping boy toy from Nickelodeon to set you straight. And trust, I'm going to be relentless. Even though I got a lot of other obligations and occupations, you are my new full-time job, homie." And with that, the beef exploded even more. But it didn't stop there. Mariah Carey jumped in too. She clapped back in her own way, dropping the track Obsessed, where she mocked a stalker-like figure that many believed was a direct shot at Eminem. The music video made it loud and clear. Mariah dressed up like M, complete with a hoodie and goatee, that only poured more gas on the fire. For the next decade, things seemed to cool off between M and Nick. The drama slowed until 2019. That's when Cannon popped up on T.I.'s podcast expeditiously, and boom, the old feud sparked right back up. On the pod, Nick told a story about flying back with M from somewhere, maybe Africa, and suddenly Eminem dropped a song dissing Mariah again. Cannon, still feeling protective of his wife, wasn't having it. He said he wrote a long, respectful letter to M, giving props to his artistry, but calling him out for the disrespect. Nick wanted to keep it grown, be the bigger man. Fans saw Cannon's move as mature and chill. But Eminem, he took it as a challenge. Instead of replying directly, M went back to the booth and let it rip on Fat Joe's song, Lord Above. In the verse, he rapped, "I know me and Mariah didn't end on a high note, but that other dude's whipped. That he got him neutered. Tried to tell him this chick's a nut job before he got his jewels clipped. Almost got my caboose kicked." Brutal, wild, and pure Eminem energy. The feud was officially back on. Nick Cannon wasn't done yet. He hit back hard with his own diss track called The Invitation, and he went all in. In the track, he spit, "Call Kim! Somebody get Haley and that other kid you raising that ain't even your baby. My baby mama killed you off a decade ago. You're still crying about it." The bars were raw and personal. Cannon came for Eminem's family, his past, and his pride. That track lit up social media like wildfire. Public reaction completely split. Some folks praised Cannon for finally standing up for his wife and refusing to let Eminem's shots slide. They respected him for going toe-to-toe with one of rap's most feared lyricists and defending his family's name with no hesitation, but others weren't buying it. Critics said Cannon was dragging out old drama just to stay relevant, and it was time to let it go. They felt the whole feud had run its course, and enough was enough. The media, of course, ate it all up. Gossip sites, tabloids, and entertainment blogs ran wild with it. Every verse, every tweet, every comment turned into headlines. It became a spectacle. Fans were glued to the drama, watching for the next disc, the next clapback, the next viral moment. But in the middle of all that noise, there were voices calling for peace. Some fans hoped both artists would finally squash the beef and get back to focusing on what really mattered, their music. They wanted growth, not grudges. Still, despite all the talk of moving on, it felt like the feud had grown into something bigger than either of them. It wasn't just a rap beef anymore. It had taken on a life of its own. Eminem and Nick Cannon kept trading shots for a while through tracks, interviews, and slick comments on social media. It wasn't just about bars anymore. It spilled into every corner of their public lives. At one point, Cannon even sampled some of M's most controversial old songs, trying to flip the script and tarnish his legacy. But lately, things have cooled down, at least on the surface. The constant fire between Eminem, 50 Cent, and Cannon seems to have faded from the spotlight. The wild back and forths aren't dropping like they used to, and all three are now more focused on new projects, different moves, and life outside of beef. Still, not everybody's convinced it's really over. Fans and industry insiders are watching closely, reading between the lines. Every post, every lyric, every interview is picked apart like a secret message. People are convinced there's still tension bubbling beneath the surface, waiting to explode again. And let's be real, the history between these guys runs deep. The personal jabs, the disrespect, the wild call-outs, none of that just disappears. It's the kind of stuff that leaves scars and keeps fans on edge, expecting the next round to drop any moment. Some even think there's a bigger game being played here. Is the feud all real, or is it part of the hustle? Is the feud all real, or is it part of the hustle? Could they be using the drama to stay in the headlines and keep people talking? Whether it's personal, strategic, or a mix of both, one thing's for sure. This saga had the world watching. And as long as there's history, fans will keep digging, waiting to see if one stray bar brings the whole firestorm back to life. Only time will really show where this feud stands today. Back in 2005, Nick Cannon met Mariah Carey at the Teen Choice Awards. And a few years later, in 2008, they tied the knot. So when Eminem dropped that diss track going after both of them, their relationship was still fresh, which might explain why Cannon was so quick to jump into full defense mode. Even though their marriage didn't last, they officially divorced in 2016 after 8 years. Cannon's loyalty never faded. He's continued to defend Mariah time and time again, especially in public, and they've kept things respectful for their twins, Moroccan and Monroe. Meanwhile, 50 Cent also got pulled deeper into the drama when Cannon came at him with jokes on his podcast. Nick didn't hold back. He roasted 50's appearance, claiming he'd gained weight, and even joked he looked like he got a pack of hot dogs in the back of his neck. Wild, right? At first, 50 didn't seem too bothered, but he did clap back, of course, in classic 50 Cent fashion. He dropped a slick Instagram post that wasn't just about looks. It was about respect. In the post, he wrote something about trusting in God and how success comes from faith, not luck. But it was the caption that packed the punch. He warned people, especially Nick, about using his name to stir up buzz. 50 said straight up, "If your marketing campaign is say something about 50, you're not going to make it." Basically, 50 was letting the world know. He sees through the noise, and if you're trying to ride his name for clout, that game's not going to end well for you. Have a nice day. That's how 50 Cent ended one of his shady messages to Nick Cannon. But by then, the shots had already been fired. This wasn't even the first time 50 came for Nick. Back in a 2020 Breakfast Club interview, he gave his unfiltered take on the whole Eminem versus Nick Cannon situation. 50 made it clear M lives for battle rap. He thrives under pressure. And when someone tries to test him, that's when he's most dangerous. The conversation shifted to Cannon's track "Used to Look Up to You," and 50 clarified it was aimed at him, not Eminem. But instead of taking offense, 50 pretty much laughed it off. He said Cannon's rap skills never impressed him, calling him legendary corny from the beginning. The hosts were cracking up, agreeing they didn't get why Cannon was so pressed about making music. 50 didn't sugarcoat it. "You suck, bro." Then in a more recent interview with Forbes' Brian J. Roberts, 50 got a little more personal but still threw jabs. While talking about regretting buying a massive house for himself, he joked that maybe Nick Cannon could use it with all those kids. He said something like, "A smaller house is all I need, but Nick Cannon and his 12 kids. Yeah, they probably need a place that size." Even with things seeming quieter between Eminem and Cannon, nobody's sure if it's really squashed or just on pause. The tension hasn't completely vanished. People are still watching, wondering if one bar, one joke, one post could reignite the whole thing again. And just when you think it might end, here comes the next chapter. Because before Eminem and Cannon were at each other's throats, another war was already in full swing. 50 Cent versus Ja Rule. That feud kicked off in the late 90s with some straight-up wild events that lit the match for years of straight-up beef. It all kicked off in 1999 when Ja Rule got robbed at gunpoint while filming a music video. Word on the street is someone affiliated with 50 Cent snatched Ja's chain during the stick-up. According to 50, Ja later saw both him and the alleged robber at a club and gave him a cold stare, which 50 took as the start of some serious tension. But Ja Rule tells it differently. He admits the robbery happened, but says he never saw 50 and the other guy together that night. In Ja's version, the real drama started because 50 FT disrespected by Murder Inc. Ja's label after being left out of the loop during a shoot for the single Murder for Life. Either way, 50 wasn't about to let it slide. That same year, he clapped back with a diss track called Life's on the Line, throwing direct shots at Ja and Murder Inc. It was supposed to be part of 50's debut album, Power of the Dollar, but that project got shelved and never officially dropped. Meanwhile, Ja Rule's debut album, Venetti Vetti, was blowing up, selling millions and stealing the spotlight. By 2000, the tension turned into real smoke. Both rappers were booked to perform at the same club in Atlanta, and what was meant to be just another show turned into a full-on face-off. Words flew and things got physical fast. But the drama didn't stop there. Later that same year, things got even more dangerous. 50 and his Gun It crew ended up at the Hit Factory Studios in NYC when Ja Rule and the Murder Inc. squad rolled in, supposedly tipped off that 50 was recording there. What happened next? Let's just say things got ugly and this beef was about to explode for real. That Hit Factory encounter turned violent real fast. 50 Cent ended up getting stabbed by Murder Inc. rapper Black Child. That moment didn't just add fuel to the fire. It cemented the beef between 50 and Ja Rule as one of the nastiest in hip-hop history. From 1999 to 2002, it went from music to mayhem with both sides locked in as full-blown enemies. Then came 2002, 50 Cent dropped his first real breakthrough hit, Wangster. The song was widely believed to be a jab at Ja Rule, and it blew up, climbing all the way to number 13 on the Billboard charts. It wasn't just a hit, it was a statement. 50 was officially in the game, and he wasn't backing down from the heat with Ja. But that same year, 50 Street Rep got hit with a curveball. RVGTI, the head honcho at Murder Inc., went public with claims that 50 had filed an order of protection against him and Ja. In the rap world, that's serious. Because if it were true, it could have made 50 look like he was ducking smoke instead of standing on his name. Sud denied it right away, and eventually, the truth came out. Yeah. An order of protection was filed, but it wasn't by 50. The cops did it on his behalf after all the violence broke out. That cleared the air and kept his image intact. Through 2002 and 2003, the war moved straight into the booth. Diss tracks flew left and right. 50 came hard with tracks like I Smell Peeb, Back Down, and even a remix of Hail Mary that mocked Ja Rule's whole vibe. The shots were relentless, and the world was watching as this rap war hit its peak. Those later diss tracks from 50, especially Hail Mary, hit a nerve, calling out Ja Rule's alleged obsession with Tupac. It was bold, straight up calling Ja a copycat trying to channel Pac's energy. Ja didn't let that slide. He fired right back with tracks like Loose Change and Guess Who Shot You, throwing heavy shade and adding more fuel to an already blazing feud. Fans were locked in. Each new track from either side felt like another round in a heavyweight fight. The beef between 50 Cent and J. Rule stayed red hot from the early 2000s all the way through 2019, with wild moments in between. In 2007, Jay tried to flip the script. In an interview with Angie Martinez on Hot 97, he claimed 50 had copied his style after signing to Shady Records. According to Ja, once 50 blew up, he started adopting the same sound and vibe that Ja had already been doing. It was his way of saying 50's rise wasn't as original as people thought. Then in 2013, things got weird. Ja Rule shocked folks when he admitted in an interview that he felt 50 had won the beef. That was a big deal. Ja basically admitted defeat. But what happened next had everyone talking. Later that same year, Ja and 50 ended up on the same flight, sitting in the same row. Ja tweeted about it, and fans started thinking maybe, just maybe, the beef was over. It was the first sign of peace between them in over a decade. But that hope didn't last long. At Hot 97 Summer Jam that same year, 50 got back on stage and performed I Smell PC. Yen, one of his infamous diss tracks, aimed right at Ja and Murder Inc. It was clear the feud wasn't over. Not even close. 50 was still taking shots, and the rivalry was far from buried. In 2014, things took a serious turn when J. Rule dropped a bomb in his memoir, Unruly, The Highs and Lows of Becoming a Man. He claimed that 50 Cent snitched, alleging that 50 tipped off the police with info that sparked a federal investigation into murder. Inc., that's a heavy accusation in the rap game. Fuddy, of course, denied it all in 2015. Even while other beefs like Drake versus Meek Mill were catching the spotlight, 50 and Ja couldn't help but remind everyone that their feud was on a whole different level. They both jumped on Twitter and basically agreed that Drake-Meek drama was light work compared to their years-long war. Then came 2017 and Ja Rule was under fire again. This time for the Fyre Festival disaster. The luxury event turned into a total scam, stranding attendees with no food, no shelter, and no show. And who was waiting to clown him? You guessed it, 50 Cent. He went straight to social media, dragging Ja for the fiasco and throwing more fuel on the feud. By 2018, the beef exploded again on Twitter. Ja started it with a shot at 50, and just like clockwork, 50 clapped back with savage memes and disrespectful tweets. The two went at it like it was the early 2000s all over again. Personal insults flying, no chill on either side. But the wildest move came when 50 Cent claimed he bought 200 front row tickets to one of Ja Rule's Vegas shows just so the seats would be empty. Yeah, he really did that. He even photoshopped a picture of himself chilling in a whole row of vacant seats just to troll Ja publicly. That level of petty, legendary, and the beef still burning. In 2019, Ja Rule stirred the pot again. This time by coming at 50 Cent over his connection with Tekashi 6991. At that point, 699 was deep in legal trouble and labeled a snitch after cooperating with authorities. J. Rule didn't miss the chance to take a jab, calling both 6999 and 50 rats, comparing their loyalty or lack of it publicly. Meanwhile, Eminem got dragged into the mess too, though not by choice. Unlike most of M's feuds where he throws direct lyrical punches, This one started because of his loyalty to 50. Ja Rule tried to provoke him in the diss track Loose Change, and the shots were deeply personal. Ja crossed a serious line when he wept him, "You claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known. Right day. So what's Haley going to be when she grows up?" That line made waves, and not in a good way. Eminem wasn't about to let someone come at his family like that. He fired back with Haley's Revenge and a savage Hail Mary remix featuring 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes. From there, it was war. Ja responded with Clapback, and M answered again with Go to Sleep. The tracks were brutal and the tension was heavy. But by 2004, M had enough. He dropped a track basically declaring the beef over, saying his label already won. He called it childish, pointless, and not worth his time or energy anymore. Still, by the mid-2000s, people noticed Ja Rule's name mainly popped up when 50 or M were involved. In one interview, Ja talked about ending the feud, but then switched up and said he and 50 would always be enemies. That contradiction only added to the legend, making their feud one of the longest, most bitter rivalries in hip-hop history. In hip-hop, pressure always builds. And when it explodes, it explodes. That's exactly how things unraveled between Eminem and Joe Budden. The tension didn't start loud. It was a slow burn that began back in 2011 when Joe and his rap supergroup Slaughterhouse linked up with M's label, Shady Records. Slaughterhouse, made up of Joe Budden, Royce to 59, Joel Ortiz, and Crooked Y, was known for its gritty bars and underground respect. So, when they signed to Shady, fans were hyped but also cautious. They hoped the deal would finally give the crew the spotlight they deserved without watering down their sound. But once work started on their major label debut, Welcome to Our House, things got shaky. Eminem, acting as executive producer, had a different vision. More polished production, radio-friendly hooks, and a commercial sound that clashed with Slaughterhouse's raw, unfiltered energy. For Joe Budden, that shift didn't sit right at all. He wasn't some industry rookie. He'd built a loyal following off his own grind, staying true to the gritty mixtape scene. Now, with the group leaning into M's cleaner, more mainstream formula, Joe felt like the soul of Slaughterhouse was being stripped away. Behind the scenes, the creative clash kept growing, and Joe didn't stay silent. On his podcast, he let it fly. He said flat out that Slaughterhouse could have done better without Eminem calling the shots. To him, they were festival stage killers who didn't need to be molded into something they weren't. That statement hit hard, especially coming from someone inside the Shady circle. Joe wasn't just criticizing a producer. He was challenging one of the biggest forces in hip-hop. And it was clear the peace between them was officially broken. In Joe Budden's eyes, Slaughterhouse didn't need Eminem. They were already elite. He believed the group could have built their own powerhouse brand without having to fit into anyone else's mold. But it wasn't just creative control that set things off. Joe had real issues with the beats, too. He straight up called the production horrible and claimed the instrumentals M provided didn't suit Slaughterhouse at all. Joe felt like M and his longtime manager, Paul Rosenberg, mishandled the group. To him, they forced a formula that didn't align with what Slaughterhouse was really about, leading to the group losing momentum instead of leveling up. The tension kept simmering until it finally exploded. The spark Eminem's Kamikaze album. On that project, M was throwing darts at a bunch of rappers. Machine Gun Kelly, Dian, Lil Yachty. But when he fired at Joe Budden, things got personal. Joe didn't respond with a diss track. Instead, he used his podcast mic as a weapon and torched Eminem. Joe went in hard, calling out M's character, his decision-making, his musical relevance, and even his overall business sense. He wasn't just criticizing songs. He was going for the jugular. It was clear Joe's anger ran deeper than music. He felt betrayed, like Slaughterhouse never got the chance they deserved under M's leadership. Then KXNG Crooked, one of the other Slaughterhouse members, jumped in and gave more insight. On IG Live, Crooked confirmed the fallout was real. He revealed Joe had been heated with Eminem for a long time, especially over how things with Slaughterhouse were handled or not handled. The behind-the-scenes info just added more layers to the drama. This wasn't just rap beef. It was a messy mix of pride, frustration, and years of silence finally boiling over. Joe Budden's criticism of Eminem's Revival album only poured more gas on an already blazing fire. Fans quickly pointed to M's Track-a-Pic, where he throws shade at reaction videos and critics. Many believed he was aiming directly at Joe. That line alone intensified the beef, and the tension got thick. Then Bizarre from D12 jumped into the mix, publicly calling out Joe for trashing M's album. Joe wasn't one to back down. He clapped back with a physical threat, telling Bizarre not to test him. The beef wasn't just lyrical anymore. It was heating up on all levels. Then 50 Cent entered the chat and things went next level. He posted a photo of Joe Budden on Instagram with a slick caption warning that Joe had a swooping coming. That post let everyone know 50 was riding with M, and now Joe had both heavyweights coming at him. By 2018, the drama was front and center. Eminem sat down with Sway for a rare and raw interview that had fans glued. They broke down the backlash from Revival, the surprise drop of Kamikaze, and of course the conflicts with MGK and Joe Budden. Eminem made it crystal clear me and Joe Budden aren't friends like that. We didn't go to high school together or anything, but I was out here flying around doing interviews, using my platform to hype up Slaughterhouse every chance I got. Meanwhile, he's using his platform to trash me. That's the mindset I had making Kamikaze. Like, okay, let me give my opinion on everybody. He also touched on the downfall of Slaughterhouse and their never-released Glass House album. According to M, they had enough tracks to drop the project, but the members just couldn't agree on the final cut. The beef wasn't just personal, it was creative, strategic, and straight-up messy. At the end of it all, Eminem admitted that things with Slaughterhouse just fizzled out. Everybody wasn't on the same page about which song should make the cut, he explained. He thought they were going to go home, regroup, and come back stronger with a few more tracks. But nothing happened. Silence. And by then, M was fully locked in on Revival. He also spoke on why Welcome to Our House got so much backlash. Fans said it was too polished, too commercial, far from the gritty sound Slaughterhouse was known for. That's why M kept his distance during the process. We left the ball in their court, he said. I didn't want to take control, just gave my input on the songs. Then out of nowhere, Joe Budden started making noise asking who got the money. M was confused. What money? I don't even know if I made a dime off Slaughterhouse. I didn't care. I believed in them. That one line hit deep. In this rap game, sometimes you need a mentor. Sometimes you need a ride or die. And sometimes you just need a ruthless bar to remind everyone who really runs it. Eminem and 50 Cent, they've got all three. From loyalty to lyrical warfare, they've proven that their bond and their bars go way deeper than just business. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to comment your favorite part, like the video to show some love, subscribe so you don't miss a drop, and share it with someone who needs to catch up on all this rap drama.